cases that was requested. Someone recently, and I've never heard of it, so I decided to do a little bit of research, and I ended up finding that this case has 2 unsolved homicides in the span of 3 years. And just to make things worse, in the same family. If you thought that this kind of thing happens to somebody randomly and once in a lifetime, even for them, think again, because this case kind of proves that tragedy can follow a family around. Now, the family's name is the Rileys, and they lived in 545 Lindsay Avenue in Sacramento in 1964. Between 1964 and 1971, they moved around and out of state, because after 1964 we do find them back in Sacramento at 215 Olmsted Drive. And again, there's some time in between 1964 and 1971 when they moved around, and we know that they were in Florida, even though I do not have the details of where they moved. We know that they were in Florida on February 26, 1968, when their daughter, Harriet Elizabeth Riley, was born. She was the 3rd child of the couple. Some people in articles say that they had a 4th child and a younger sibling for Harriet, but not all official sources talk about it, so it really, I don't think is relevant to the case itself, but to the family. Now, Mr. Riley, his name is Errol. He was in the Air Force and was for the most part stationed at the back then Air Force in the area in northern Sacramento. However, that would explain the in and out of state thing with the family and his time in the service. Harold was, as I mentioned, in the Air Force, but he worked his way up to the rank of technical sergeant. He enlisted in 1958. He did a tour in Thailand in the early 70s, and he was discharged in 1971. And that is when, again, we kind of put together the timeline where they were back in Sacramento, but this time at 215 Olmsted Drive. Sadly, at that same time is when tragedy, it's kind of getting ready to strike. On September 27th, 1971, Errol's wife, Mamie, or Mamie, I don't know how to say her name, I'm sorry. She was already in bed when Errol came home after work. It was a normal night, and she was awake. He took off his clothes to get him to bed, but she asked him to go get her a soda from the kitchen. Now, by the time that he got to the kitchen, she heard a frustrating and sad. Even sadder news. I mean, this family lost the father and the husband, but the reports in the newspapers briefly mentioned not only in a couple of sentences what happened to Errol, but the widow, the mother, the 30-year-old mother that now is left behind with 3 kids. On the newspapers, they didn't elaborate on any kind of suspects or anything. This became an unsolved mystery that nobody seemed to care too much about. And it went on for 3.5 years without nothing. I've seen many newspaper clips where you can read pretty much the same information that I just told you. So it really is a sad case. Not only because he lost his life, but because nobody seemed to care too much about. Now, I'm gonna mention this because I think this part I found it on a thread on Reddit that there is this person that does this kind of investigations of not very well-known cases, you know, some cases that you can't watch a documentary on, and this person found out that according to all the information that was gathered on this case, people have been looking for Harold's grave. He would be entitled to a military funeral, and maybe even a mention in the newspaper of when it was going to be done. But even today, according to the research of this person, Harold is not listed anywhere. I didn't do this search myself. I wouldn't know where to start. But another sad fact about something that was already sad to begin with. Now, in 1972, the family relocated to North Highlands, and the kids were attending the back then open Fruit Ridge Elementary. If you were in the area in the 70s, you know that this is something that it was talked about a lot back then. North Highlands was described as a progressive and active hometown, 8 miles northeast of Sacramento, with estimated population of 46,000 people. According to a record, half of that people were somewhat working in different areas, but they were employed at the Air Force Base. And you would think, well, a quiet place where people work at the base. Well, only half. The other 23,000 didn't. And again, if you lived in the area or you know about this area in the 70s, violent crime was on the rise in the area. At one point, North Highland was known as the most dangerous neighborhood in the greater Sacramento area. However, and I've seen this over and over again from back home, people still live their lives, kids still went to the parks, schools, etc. I mean, they honest circumstances. And again, I remember coming from a third world country where violent crimes are really always on the rise, and you could still see kids playing in the playground and playing soccer in every field, and even unsupervised, so not uncommon, especially in the 70s. So, Largemont Park was less than half a mile away from the Rileys' home, and about an 8-minute walk, to be more precise and give you a better an idea. Over 50 kids from the area walked to this park every day and played unattended. On January 9th, 1975, Harriet, the child I mentioned, of the couple that was born in Florida, went to the park, like she did all the time. That afternoon was a Thursday, and she left at around 3:45 and was asked to be back home at 5:15. So, about an hour and a half. Okay. Now, she was spotted by a neighbor playing in the sidewalk on the park at around 5 p.m., but she never came back home that night. Her mother looked around for her, and when she couldn't find her, she called the police. Everyone was sure that there was a child predator that was loose in the area, because on October 24th, 1974, an 11-year-old girl, Stephanie Black, disappeared from a bus stop nearby, and her body was found 18 days later nearby too. So they thought that maybe she was abducted by this child predator. Over 200 deputies looked for Harriet, along with neighbors, friends, and volunteers. They made the search area bigger. They tried, but bad news were on the way. At around 9:30 a.m. the next morning, a cleaning lady opened the lid to a dumpster at the Terry Crest Apartments and found the 6-year-old girl's body. She was wrapped in plastic, or in a plastic sheet, as was described, with a plastic bag over her head. Unlike this other girl, Stephanie, no sexual assault, but it was confirmed that she died by suffocation. Now, to make things worse for this family, her mom was at home when the news broke of her daughter's body. The police haven't had the time to let her know that they found the body, but the news already knew about it. She collapsed and was taken to the hospital to recover. That was something that was very criticized. The police should have done something, and the news should have checked before releasing this information. Now everyone in the area was panicking, and there seemed to be no answer to the questions of what happened to Harriet. A week later, the sheriff shared with the public what they thought that happened that suffocation. And this was according to the 6-year-old boy's statements. The sheriff also mentioned that he was sure that the boys didn't understand that she could die if she was left that way, and that was most likely not intentional. Now, the boys never mentioned what happened after the game, so there was a lot of information that was missing. The only thing that they said is that she was left still bound and wrapped in plastic, and that the boys left for their homes after 7 p.m. They never mentioned if anybody was there with them. So, who moved the body to the dumpster? The police didn't think that the little boys moved it, but they couldn't answer who moved it. Was it a parent? A quote-unquote friend? Adult friend? The families of these 2 little boys refused to continue to cooperate with the police, yet they were waiting for a juvenile court hearing for the boys. They tried to remove the kids from their homes because the parents were unfit, according to what they filed, and that the boys lacked parental control. But all charges were dropped on April 12, 1975, because according to the judge, none of the allegations could be proved. The boys' family sued, actually, the sheriff department for $1.6 million, but not sure what happened in the end. I mean, the police now had nothing, no new developments. And, I mean, this was getting worse. At the time, a lot was happening with the black community, and this was one of many cases where the crime or the victim was part of the black community, and all of a sudden there were no answers for them. A number of incidents, dramatically demonstrate that the feeling of people in the black community have not been the main concern of the local government, especially law enforcement, according to one of the leaders in this movement, Dr. David Coben. He also explained different crimes that happen in the area involving black people and how they were always a mystery. How can a girl show up in a dumpster and the people believe that this was an accident, he said. According to Dr. Coben, this showed lack of respect for his community. The community was also upset at Sheriff Lowe's at the time and his lack of answers on several crimes involving black people. Cold cases took a back seat if you were black, or if the victim was, I should say. The city's violence was on the rise, and homicide rates would continue to rise in Sacramento from that time until 1993. At least that was the worst, according to my research. But 40 years later, Harriet Riley was in the news again in CBS Sacramento in the year 2015. Now they needed answers. This time there was no mention of the boys, so no accidental death or children potentially involved in her death. Now, we don't know why. Did they finally get something with the modern techniques that show, something different? Is it to protect the boys that now are 46-year-old guys? Did they sign something? Did they think this over and realize that theory didn't make sense at all? Or do they have new physical evidence pointing to a different direction that not really involves this couple of 6-year-olds that really had nothing to prove in court that they did it? Sadly, that's where everything stops, because this is still unsolved. And not only Harriet's, but her dad. I feel like the Rileys endure more than enough. I mean, 2 unsolved homicides in the span of 3 years seems unheard of. But it happened to this family. Was Dr. Common right? He used to say that if they were white people, they wouldn't be unsolved mysteries or unsolved murders, and that the authorities could have done a lot more. I mean, was being black in the 70s part of why these investigations didn't really take that much importance? Was it a quote-unquote non-important issue, or simply bad luck? Now, the last that I could find on the Rileys, they moved to the southeast part of the country, and as far as my research goes, they should still be alive and well. I don't know how can this happen. I really don't know. I think that the death of the father was bad enough, but being a single mom, having 3 kids, and it's just one of those things that really makes me wonder why this had to happen to Harriet. Now, there's a lot of controversy, and I think that's why this case was so requested, not only because there's not much that you can find on the, video-wise, but because it involves a time where being black was part of a struggle. And I'm not gonna get into what it is today, our world, and the differences, and the race, and because that'd be getting into something that we all experience in different ways depending on our race. So there is not a definite answer today that I can give you of what the world is like, but how I can perceive it as a minority. But there's a lot of controversy because it involved a part of the community that back then was not really taken seriously, according to Dr. Common, and that a lot of people believe that since back then they blamed black people for a lot of their crimes, second chance when they shouldn't. It is so heartbreaking to report on these cases that, hey, every unsolved mystery is, kind of sad. Not kind of, but sad. And it leaves you wondering, but when you see a family that happened, something this horrible happened to them twice, you can only wonder how they feel about it. And I am hoping that they recovered. But to our standards, it is not fair that whoever did that to Harriet and whoever did that to Harold are not being held responsible. And that is not okay. Wasn't enough physical evidence to know whoever put her body in the dumpster. There were no fingerprints. They messed up this crime scene. Then maybe they didn't take it seriously. I've been learning about crime scenes and some of the common mistakes that can happen in the first minutes of finding a body. So maybe that has something to do with it. But for both of them, I don't know. Anyways, let me know if you know anything about this case. If you knew about it, please let me know. There are a series of cases that were requested somewhat recently that I started to do my search on them, but they really have not much but news articles, and that is going to be my next case. So what I had to do with those cases is print all those news articles and come up with a timeline, because there's not anything out there with a timeline. There's not an article that will include all the information since the time that this girl disappeared. There is not a video, there's not a documentary, there's nothing on them, and the money that they raised was less than $500. The reward to find this girl is, I think, $1,000. The numbers are ridiculous. And thank you so much for recommending that case to me, because I feel like even though those are the kind of cases that give me the most, I don't want to say headache, but sometimes I get headaches because there's so much information, but in little, 5-sentence articles, and then putting them together and making sense out of them. It's kind of the hard part, so it takes me quite a while to put together a video like that. But nonetheless, I think it's as important that we cover cases that you don't hear much about, and that they deserve to be known, because most of the people are still missing. And so maybe there is something that we can do. Anyways, so the series Where is coming back.